Silent watchers. High above Earth's atmosphere, the Meridian observation vessel Eternal Vigil maintained its cloaked orbit, its quantum sensors probing the planet below. First observer Kelrith stood before the ship's main viewport, his crystalline form refracting the pale blue light of Earth's oceans. Behind him, banks of neural processors hummed softly as they analyzed decades of collected data. Another confirmed reduction in electromagnetic emissions. Observer reported Analysis Chief Verna, her crystalline fragments shifting in what passed for excitement among their kind. Surface power signatures have dropped another 12% since our last orbital pass. This marks the 15th consecutive year of technological regression. Kelrith's own crystals chimed in satisfaction. The Meridian Collective had monitored thousands of emerging civilizations across the galaxy, documenting their rise and inevitable fall. Earth had been particularly fascinating and concerning. Unlike other species who followed predictable paths of development, humans had shown an alarming tendency toward rapid technological advancement and unpredictable innovation. "Show me the comparative analysis," Kelrith commanded. A holographic display materialized before him, showing Earth's technological progression over the past century. The graph's sharp upward curve in the early 21st century had been a source of great concern for the collective, but now, that curve had reversed dramatically. "As you can see," Verna continued, "their global communication networks have largely collapsed. Power generation has reverted to primitive fossil fuel usage in most regions. Space launch capabilities appear completely abandoned. By all measurements, they've regressed to pre-information age technology levels." Kelrith moved closer to the viewport, studying the dark side of the planet below. Where once cities had blazed with artificial light, now only scattered pinpricks of illumination remained. And the cause? Resource depletion, environmental degradation, social collapse, the usual patterns we've observed in failed civilizations, Verna replied. "Though I must note, the speed of their regression is unprecedented." Something about that bothered Kelrith, though he couldn't quite crystallize why. Humans had always been outliers in the collective's vast database of civilizational development. Their capacity for both self-destruction and survival had defied many of the collective's most reliable models. "Launch additional probe satellites," he ordered. "I want complete spectrum analysis, deep radar scanning, and gravitational mapping. If they're truly regressing, we need to document every aspect for the archive." As his crew carried out his orders, Kelrith reviewed the historical data. The collective had begun monitoring Earth shortly after humans first split the atom. That achievement had triggered automatic observation protocols. Any species capable of harnessing nuclear forces was considered potentially dangerous to galactic stability. The following decades had been increasingly alarming. Humans had progressed from primitive rockets to orbital capability in mere years. Their computing technology had advanced exponentially. Their understanding of quantum mechanics had begun approaching dangerous levels of sophistication. Then, mysteriously, everything had started to decline. Global communication networks deteriorated. Power grids failed. Spacecraft fell from the sky and weren't replaced. It was as if humanity had simply given up. "Observer," Verna's voice interrupted his thoughts. "We're detecting an anomaly in the southern hemisphere. The deep radar scans are showing unusual density patterns beneath the surface." Kelrith turned from the viewport. "Natural formations. Uncertain. The patterns are remarkably uniform for geological structures. And there's something else. Intermittent energy signatures. Extremely faint. They appear and disappear too quickly for our instruments to properly analyze. Increased scanning power. I want." Kelrith's order was cut short by a sudden alarm. Multiple displays flashed urgent warnings as new data streamed in. Multiple objects detected. Verna's crystals pulsed with alarm. Rising from the surface. Impossible speeds. No electromagnetic emissions. There. The viewport suddenly filled with sleek, dark shapes emerging from Earth's atmosphere. Ships, unlike any the collective had encountered, moving with impossible grace and perfect silence. Kelrith had just enough time to realize that the humans hadn't regressed at all. They had evolved in ways the collective had never imagined possible before the first quantum torpedoes struck the Eternal Vigil's hull. The game of pretending to be extinct was over. Humanity was ready to reveal itself to the galaxy, and the Meridian Collective was about to learn why assuming human defeat was a grave mistake. 2 kilometers beneath the Australian outback, Dr. Elena Santos stood in the control center of New Sydney, one of humanity's hidden metropolises. Holographic displays surrounded her, showing real-time data from the surface engagement. The quantum-shielded chamber hummed with activity as technicians monitored the first reveal of humanity's true capabilities in over 50 years. Strike Team Alpha reports direct hit on the Meridian vessel, announced Captain James Chen, his voice calm despite the historical significance of the moment. Their shields were completely unprepared for quantum weaponry. No casualties on our side. Elena nodded, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. The plan they had worked on for generations was finally in motion. Status of the other observation posts. Teams are engaging Meridian vessels in orbit over North America, Europe, and Asia, all reporting similar results. They never saw us coming. James allowed himself a small smile. 50 years of playing dead paid off. Elena remembered the day humanity made its choice. When their long-range sensors first detected the Meridian observation ships, Earth's leaders had faced a crucial decision. Fight then with inferior technology, or implement the Long Dark Protocol. They chose patience over pride, regression over resistance, at least on the surface. The vast underground cities had been humanity's greatest achievement. Quantum-dampened caverns housed billions, while the surface was allowed to appear abandoned and primitive. Every emission was carefully controlled, every signal masked. They developed technologies that operated in complete silence, mastering quantum mechanics in ways the Meridians had never imagined possible. Director Santos, a young technician, called out, "We're receiving transmissions from the Meridian fleet. They're requesting communication." "Put it through to my neural link," Elena said, touching the small quantum processor behind her ear. The technology was generations ahead of anything the Meridians had observed during their surveillance. The alien voice materialized directly in her mind, translated in real time. "This is First Observer Kelrith of the Meridian Collective. We acknowledge your tactical advantage and request terms for cessation of hostilities." Elena smiled. This was the moment they had prepared for. "First Observer, this is Director Elena Santos of the Earth Defense Initiative. We've been expecting your call. Perhaps we should discuss why your collective feels entitled to monitor developing civilizations without their knowledge or consent." There was a pause before Kelrith responded, his crystalline voice carrying a note of what might have been embarrassment. "Our mandate is to protect galactic stability. Your species showed concerning patterns of rapid advancement, and yet you never considered that we might detect your presence and adapt accordingly." Elena gestured to her staff, and new data began streaming to the Meridian vessel, carefully selected demonstrations of human advancement. "While you watched our apparent decline, we evolved beyond your ability to detect us. Your monitoring stations missed an entire civilization developing beneath your sensors." The silence that followed was profound. Finally, Kelrith spoke again. "The collective must reassess its fundamental assumptions. Your achievement is unprecedented." "That's the problem with your models, Observer Kelrith. You assume all species will follow predictable patterns. Humanity's greatest strength is our ability to defy expectations." Elena paused, letting that sink in. "Now shall we discuss terms for a more equitable relationship between Earth and the collective?" Around her, the control center erupted in silent celebration. Generations of hiding, of careful planning and patient development, had led to this moment. Humanity hadn't just survived, they had revolutionized their entire civilization, developing technologies that operated on principles the Meridians had never considered possible. The surface of Earth might have appeared dark to watching eyes, but beneath the ground, A renaissance of human achievement had flourished. Now it was time to share that light with the galaxy, on humanity's terms. Within the crystalline command sphere of the Meridian flagship, Eternal Truth, first speaker Nixis received the emergency transmissions from Earth with growing concern. The holographic displays surrounding her showed dozens of Meridian observation posts being systematically neutralized by human forces. Not destroyed, disabled with surgical precision. How did we miss this? She demanded, her crystalline form pulsing with agitation. 50 years of observation, and we never detected their true development. High Analyst Kelrith, recently evacuated from Earth orbit, shifted uncomfortably. They developed entirely new principles of technology. Speaker. Their quantum masking capabilities operate on theories our scientists hadn't even considered possible. They weren't just hiding. They were evolving beyond our ability to perceive them. The implications were staggering. The Meridian Collective had based its entire civilization on the principle of predictable technological progression. Their models had cataloged thousands of species, all following similar patterns of development. But humans had just shattered every assumption those models were built upon. They're requesting a formal meeting, announced Communications Director Venn. Their leader wishes to convene on neutral ground. Luna Base, their abandoned moon facility. Nixis's crystals chimed in surprise. Abandoned? I suspect we'll find it's anything but. Hours later, as the Meridian delegation's shuttle approached Luna Base, they discovered just how right she was. The supposedly derelict facility shimmered into view, quantum camouflage peeling away to reveal a sprawling metropolis built into the lunar surface. Advanced ships moved silently between gleaming structures, their designs unlike anything in the Collective's vast database. The landing bay that received them was a marvel of engineering. Gravity adjusted automatically to Meridian standard as they disembarked, and the atmosphere shifted to their preferred composition without any visible technology at work. Director Elena Santos waited to greet them, flanked by an honor guard whose powered armor seemed to bend light around itself. "Welcome to Luna Base," she said, her words translated perfectly into crystalline harmonics. "We thought it was time you saw what humanity has really been up to." As they walked through the base, Nixis struggled to process what she was seeing. Quantum computers that operated without detectable energy signatures. Gravity manipulation that defied known physics. And everywhere, humans working with technologies that should have been centuries beyond their development stage. "Your entire species maintained this deception for 50 years, Nixis said finally. "The coordination required. The discipline." Elena smiled. "When we detected your first observation ships, we faced a choice. We could reveal ourselves then, fighting a war we might not win, or we could do what humanity does best. Adapt and overcome." The long dark protocol wasn't just about hiding. It was about buying time to develop defenses against any possible aggression. They entered a vast chamber where a holographic representation of the galaxy floated before them. But unlike Meridian star maps, this one showed quantum probability streams, dark matter flows, and dozens of other phenomena the Collective had never been able to map. "We know about the other species you're watching," Elena continued. "The civilizations you've deemed threatening to galactic stability. We've made contact with several of them, using methods you couldn't detect. And we have a proposal." Nixis felt her crystalline matrix vibrate with anticipation. What kind of proposal? "The Collective's mission of protecting galactic stability isn't wrong, but your methods are. Suppression of advancement doesn't prevent conflict. It guarantees future rebellion. We're proposing a new approach, guided emergence. Help civilizations develop responsibly rather than trying to control or contain them. And if we refuse?" Elena's expression remained diplomatic, but her eyes hardened slightly. "Then humanity will do it without you. We've already established quantum communication networks with 3 other regressed civilizations. They'd been advancing in silence, just like us. The age of undetectable progress is here." First speaker. "The only question is whether the Meridian Collective will help shape this new era or become obsolete within it." Admiral Marcus Chen stood on the bridge of the ESS Nightshade, Earth's most advanced stealth carrier, watching as quantum signals flickered across the holographic display. Each pulse represented another civilization dropping their facade of regression, revealing themselves in perfect synchronization. Operation Blackout was proceeding exactly as planned. Signal from the Centauri system confirmed, his XO reported. The Orcs have revealed their orbital defense grid. Meridian observation posts are completely surrounded. Sirius sector reporting in, another officer added. The Valkyran fleet has emerged from their gas giant hiding spots. No shots fired, but Meridian vessels are contained. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. For decades, humanity hadn't just been hiding. They'd been teaching others to hide as well. The species the Meridians had written off as regressed had instead been forming an alliance, sharing Earth's quantum masking technology, and preparing for this moment. Status of the quantum network, he asked. Operating at full capacity, sir. All allied species are coordinating through the dark channel relays. The Meridians still haven't detected our communication system. The quantum network had been humanity's greatest gift to their alien allies. Unlike traditional communication methods that the Meridians could monitor, quantum entanglement channels were literally undetectable. You couldn't intercept what didn't technically exist in normal spacetime. Priority message from Luna Base, his communications officer announced. Director Santos has completed initial negotiations with the Meridian leadership, transmitting their response now. Marcus reviewed the data, his expression thoughtful. The Meridians weren't fools. They recognized when they'd been outmaneuvered. Their response was more flexible than many had expected. Send word to all allied fleets, he ordered. Maintain containment positions, but do not power up weapon systems. Show them we're serious about peaceful resolution. Throughout the galaxy, ships that had been invisible moments ago now revealed themselves. The Orcs, masters of bioengineering who had appeared to regress to pre-spaceflight technology, showed off vessels that were partly grown rather than built. The Valkyrans, who had seemed to abandon their colonies, emerged from dimensional pockets they'd created within gas giants. Each species had taken humanity's gift of quantum masking technology and adapted it in unique ways. Sir, his XO said quietly, do you think the Meridians will actually agree to reform? Their entire civilization is built around their monitoring doctrine. Marcus considered this. They don't have much choice. We're not just showing them our strength. We're showing them their own obsolescence. Their entire system of galactic surveillance is useless against quantum masking technology. They can either adapt or become irrelevant. A new signal flashed on his display. The Meridian High Council was requesting an emergency session with representatives from all the revealed species, not just Earth, but every civilization they had dismissed as regressed. It's not just about military strength, Marcus continued. Look at what each species developed while hidden. The Orcs cracked the code of biological computing. The Valkyrans figured out dimensional engineering. We mastered quantum mechanics, all because we were free to develop without interference or judgment. Message from Director Santos, sir. The Meridians have agreed to preliminary terms. They're proposing a new organization, a Galactic Development Council. Equal representation for all species, with a mandate to guide rather than restrict technological advancement. Marcus nodded. This was what they had hoped for. Not conquest or dominance, but a fundamental restructuring of galactic society. The age of surveillance and suppression was ending. The age of collaboration and unrestricted innovation was about to begin. 1 year later, the Grand Chamber of the newly constructed Galactic Development Council hung suspended in Earth orbit, its quantum crystalline structure reflecting the light of the sun in prismatic patterns. Inside, representatives from 24 formerly regressed civilizations gathered with the reformed Meridian Collective for the first annual Technology Exchange Summit. Dr. Elena Santos stood at the central podium, now serving as the Council's first elected director. The chamber around her was a testament to what multiple species could achieve when working together. Arxer biotech merged seamlessly with Valkyran dimensional engineering, all powered by human quantum systems. 1 year ago, she began, her words translated simultaneously into 24 different languages. We proved that advancement doesn't have to mean conflict, that diversity in development leads to stronger solutions, that the greatest achievements come not from competition, but collaboration. Holograms materialized around the chamber, showing the achievements of the past year. The Arxer had adapted their biological computing to work with quantum systems, creating hybrid technology that could literally grow and evolve. The Valkyrans had expanded their dimensional pocket technology, solving dozens of species' resource and living space constraints. And humanity's quantum masking technology had evolved into something entirely new, a way to safely test experimental technologies in contained probability spaces. Among the audience, first speaker Nyx's crystalline form sparkled with what her species now recognized as enthusiasm. The Meridian Collective had undergone its own renaissance, their vast database of civilizational development becoming a library of possibilities rather than a tool of control. Their natural talent for observation and analysis had found a new purpose in helping guide safe technological advancement. But our greatest achievement, Elena continued, isn't technological at all. It's the proof that species can change, grow, and overcome their limitations. The Meridians abandoned millennia of doctrine to embrace a new way. The Arxer transformed their warlike nature into one of creation. The Valkyrans emerged from hiding to share their discoveries freely. She gestured to a new hologram, showing a galaxy very different from the one they had known just a year ago. Quantum networks connected civilizations that had once been isolated. Trade routes carried not just goods but ideas, and dozens of young civilizations were being contacted and welcomed into the galactic community, free to develop in their own unique ways. We still maintain our quantum masking capabilities, Elena noted, a slight smile playing at her lips. Every species here does. Not out of fear now, but as a reminder. A reminder that there is always more to discover, always developments we might not detect, always room for surprise and wonder in our galaxy. The chamber erupted in approval, each species expressing it in their own way. The Arxer's bioluminescent patterns pulsed in harmony. The Valkyrans' dimensional fields rippled with excitement. The Meridians' crystalline forms chimed in complex harmonies. In orbit above them, Admiral Chen watched the proceedings from the Nightshade's bridge. Hard to believe it was only 50 years ago. We were hiding in caves, his XO commented. We weren't hiding, Marcus corrected. We were learning. Learning that sometimes the greatest strength isn't in showing power, but in knowing when to wait, when to reach out, when to help others rise alongside you. A quantum alert chimed softly. New signals were being detected from the direction of the galactic core, patterns that suggested another young civilization might be taking its first steps into quantum science. Should we notify the council? The sensor officer asked. Marcus smiled. Let's watch for a while first. Give them time to develop in their own way. After all, he looked at the grand chamber shining below them. That's what we fought for. The right for every species to find our own path to the stars. The Nightshade adjusted its quantum field and disappeared from view, resuming its eternal watch. But now it watched not with suspicion or fear, but with hope and anticipation for what new wonders would emerge from the silent depths of space. In the decades that followed, historians would mark this as the beginning of the galaxy's true golden age, an era where technology served understanding, where diversity bred innovation, and where the silent watchers had learned to listen instead.